Okay, recording's on.
Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shannon Nazal. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation for Calvert County. And tonight's meeting is in regards to the findings presentation for the Land Preservation Parks and Recreation Plan for Calvert, which is a state requirement with Maryland to continue the receipt of program open space funds. This is a plan that we do every 5 years, a survey and some public input conducted. And so our consultants on this project, Dunn Biohabitats, LSG Landscape Architecture, and RRC did a lot of work on compiling this data, and this is what is going to be presented to you this evening. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Lisa Wolf with Dunn to continue on the presentation. Thanks, Lisa.
Great, thanks, Shannon. Welcome, everybody. We'll just go through the agenda very quickly here. Shannon, thank you for your welcome. It's great to be with everybody this evening. Even though we're virtual, we prefer to be in person. However, we know the challenges of today, so we are able to present a lot of the relevant information of what we've captured. So the meeting format today, just to go over a few housekeeping notes, are if you have not muted your mic, please do so. We would ask that if you have any questions as we go through the process, if there's something that seems of interest to you, you can go ahead and type it in the chat, and then we will try to respond to that right away. Otherwise, if it's something that we don't have the answer to, we will go ahead and get back with you or dedicate that time at the end of the meeting for staff to potentially answer that. So we will go ahead and begin the LPPRP process review and explain a little bit about who we are. Dunn we are a national consulting group, and we are performing the LPPRP plan for Calvert County. We do planning and master planning, feasibility studies, and a variety of other cost analysis programs for parks and recreation departments across the nation. We were founded in 1974, and we are committed to the success of the plan that we will be putting forward. Our team is here. You've seen myself, Tom Deal, who was working with me here on the presentation tonight. He's the one who's going to be answering all the chats in the background. We also have Dave Peterson from us, who's a senior consultant and oversaw the level of service and facility assessments throughout the process. Kaylin Villar is our GIS analyst who works closely with Dave. Our principal / manager on this project is Art Thatcher. And then we also have two of our subs on the project, which is one is Rebecca with Biohabitats, and then Amal with LSG. Chris Cares is a managing principal with RRC, who completed the statistically valid survey that we'll go through. So Shannon gave you a brief introduction of what the Land Preservation Parks and Recreation Plan is. And as noted, it's a requirement by the state of Maryland for all local bodies to prepare this plan in order to submit it to DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, for program and open space funding. This plan is revised every 5 years. So where were we and where have we come? The master plan process, you can see a 7-step process here. And the first one began back in the fall with the strategic kickoff and determination of what the critical success factors were for developing the plan. So part of that was in August of 2021. And then we carried that through with some strategic engagement, on-site meetings, evaluation of the existing conditions in October through January. and the survey was included in that also. The third step was the resource inventory, site assessments, and mapping, October through December of 2021. This week, today, we are presenting the findings and visioning of everything that we were able to capture from our focus group stakeholder meetings, the survey, as well as the resource inventory and site assessments. And that is where we are today at step 4. Also moving forward in the next step 5, the analysis and action plan recommendations will be coming forth to the staff to review, followed by the draft plan that will be submitted to the state of Maryland. And then the final plan will be finalized with all formatting in June of 2022. So when we come on site or are working closely with the client, we obviously want to find out a lot of the demographics within the community. So this slide here will show you that current population of Calvert County is 92,783 individuals. Our source comes from the most recent census information. This slide, the next to the point of the arrow is the median age of the folks in comparison to the state of Maryland as well as across the United States. So the median age for Calvert County is age 41. So in the process slide that I had showed you just previously, the engagement is what we're going to spend some time talking about here. And this will be focused mainly on the stakeholder and focus groups that we met with on site. We ask a series of questions when we're meeting with these individuals. And one of the first questions we like to find out is, who are we talking to? And so this here represents the participants, which we had about total of 40 participants in the focus group, stakeholders and staff. And these numbers here are representative of those individuals. So you can see 52% of those who participated have been longtime residents of the county, 20 plus years. And then keeping in mind as you go around the wheel, there are people who utilize the facilities and programs in the county, but might not be a resident. And then going down to less than 5 years, 16%, and then 5 to 9, 3%, and then 10 to 19 years, 19%. Talking about the staff and the focus groups, we completed a staff SWOT analysis, which is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, to what the staff felt would have any effects on the LPPRP as well as the overall department. Similar questions with the focus groups, stakeholders. And then after we collected all of that data, we had our first public meeting there on site. We always like to find out what everybody loves about the area and what the values of Parks and Recreation are throughout the whole entire county. And in this graphic here, you can see that these are some of the top most important things and what folks value. And being located right along the Chesapeake Bay is certainly, water access is one of the top priorities and values. The protection of the waterways and open spaces, preserving the county's natural beauty and natural environment, beautiful rolling landscapes that you all have there. The location to the Chesapeake Bay. The county is not overbuilt. It's intentional why people move to the county. The affordability of living there, the rural character, the military presence. It's a farming community, family community with core values, education and schools, as well as the opportunity for diversity and equity. Some of the opportunities that folks had shared with us during our meetings were the additional programs and services that they would like to have within the county. So the first one is trail-based recreation, which includes the hiking, biking, running, horseback riding, off-road vehicle use, park outdoor activities, playgrounds, picnicking, athletic team sports, water recreation, boating, sailing, paddling, swimming, natural wildlife related recreation, including bird watching, visiting natural areas and nature programs, pickleball, ice skating and roller skating, historical and cultural recreation, historical sites, special events, historical reenactments, fishing, community special events, fitness, wellness classes in more locations, times, and the virtual opportunity, life skills mentoring, holistic programs, volleyball, programs for special needs, and additional youth basketball programs were desired. As we do and complete studies, we always want to know what the community has to say in reference to the overall area and whether there are any individuals who think that there are underserved areas in the county. So rising to the top, it seems that the south end of the county is one of the highest underserved areas. If you all wouldn't mind, if you haven't muted, would you mind muting your microphones? If anybody's on, thank you. Underserved areas also include the young adults ages 20 to 30. The need for parks in the Huntington area is being underserved, teens overall, those individuals without technology or access to technology and communication purposes, folks who and programs that focus on a bike, cycling, bike park, pump track, single track, BMX, or street course. Pickleball currently shares a tennis courts, and those individuals felt that they should maybe be considered for some in the underserved area as well. Non-traditional sport participants, such as BMX, skateboarders, mountain biking. The west side of Route 4 to the river, boaters, special needs, people near Dunkirk Park, North Beach, young kids, and lower income folks. One of the things we like to say is, if you had to make some recommendations or how would you be willing to help fund any new endeavors or new facilities or programs within the county? And these are the top areas that folks had recommended as being financial support for the things that the county has to offer. They would consider user fee registrations, of course, any federal, state, and local grants to help fund, rental fees. Small portion of folks thought about a local tax increase, such as a real estate tax, bonds, sales tax, capital grants, developer fees, partnerships, reallocation from other departments. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation continue to seek sport-specific grants, such as United States Tennis Association and other national organizations such as that. Sponsorships with national vendors promote the annual Park Pass opportunity and donor campaigns. We also would like to hear what folks think are any of the concerns within the county as this plan is being developed. So these are not in any priority of order, but we certainly wanted to try to list as many as we could. First one listed here is the population is aging of the county. The projected growth of the county is increasing. Indoor facility space is limited, especially for sports. There seems to be a lack of connectivity across the county with trails. No access to view available facilities online is what that is representative of. Commuter bedroom community. There's a lot of aging infrastructure and maintenance is a concern. Programs, events, the department, basically everything is underfunded. There's no sport venue complex that could sustain large tournaments. Not enough special events. Equitable access is essential. Create better connectivity. Seems to be some politics in sports organizations. Improved communication, marketing, and promotion. There's not enough access to water, public areas, and park areas do not meet ADA requirements. Things that the community priorities that the county should consider. Ranking here in the top, and keeping in mind this is just a stakeholder and focus group, individuals that we spoke to. Adding turf fields, artificial turf fields was the top priority with those individuals. Adding multi-purpose indoor complex. Upgrading amenities at the current parks and facilities to enhance user experience. Scheduling, permitting process, the view, the availability, advanced scheduling software, environmental sustainability, the infrastructure, budget, operation and maintenance cost recovery, maintain what you have, dedicated pickleball courts, indoor and outdoor, ice, roller skating, one of the top 5 initiatives. These are, mostly folks that have said things a couple of different times, and that was obviously one of them. Improved communication, marketing, and outreach. Additional priorities. Those individuals say that happy, healthy communities are important. The land preservation goal of 40,000 acres, 30,000 per 1,000 persons for recreation. Pocket parks for communities that don't have adequate land. Evaluate unused recreational areas in large subdivisions. The board should focus on funding parks, not budget cuts. Restrooms at Dunkirk. New clubhouse at the golf course. Need to compensate employees properly in money and uniforms. Lack of first aid supplies at parks and facilities. Develop the new Harriet Elizabeth Brown Community Center fully and properly. Collaboration with other similar groups. Build facilities that are structurally made to last. Balance rural atmosphere with development of facilities and amenities. And must get diverse and inclusive community input. And I just hang on one second, Tom. I want to go back to this one slide real quick. So the one thing to keep in mind, as these were priorities that were listed, some of these actually are in the process of being done already. They're either in the capital improvement plan or in the master planning process. So with that, I'm going to let Tom take it and talk about the statistically valid survey and open link survey.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
And as Lisa said, she was giving you an update on what we heard during our initial public engagement, focus group, stakeholder meetings, staff meetings, and other interactions. I'm going to go over what we learned during the needs assessment survey. As you can see from the slide, 3,847 postcards were sent out. We received a total of 1,013 total surveys, which is a very good response. 438 were from the invitation surveys. Those are people that were randomly selected and mailed a survey. They're what is called the statistically valid sample. And we had a 4.6% margin of error, which is very good. We also received 575 open link surveys. And those are typically people in the community that heard about the plan and wanted to let us know something, had something to say, or wanted to share some feedback. So again, thank you to the Calvert County staff. We had a very good turnout. These are some of the key findings from the survey. Again, just from the survey. Living in Calvert County, residents have a long tenure in the county. About half the respondents residing in Calvert County for 20 years or more. The largest share of invite survey respondents reside in the Chesapeake Beach, 18%, or Huntingtown, 12%. And that was pretty similar to the what we had when we were doing our focus groups and stakeholder meetings. The majority of people live in the community. 59% say they travel 1 to 9 miles to get to recreation locations on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very satisfied. 58% of the invite residents responded their current satisfaction with recreation amenities between a 4 and 5, with the average being 3.6. Again, a good score, but leaving some room for improvement. Regarding future needs, important areas for improvement according to the invitation sample included trail-based recreation, nature, wildlife-related recreation, and weather-based recreation. Additional findings from the survey regarding park uses: invitation residents or respondents participate in more passive recreation activities such as walking, bird watching, and going to the beach. The respondents are active park users. About a quarter of the invite respond said that they have visited active recreation parks and trail open space 11 or more times in the past year. Communication, similar to most communities we work in, there is room for improvement to better leverage communication efforts. People on an average rated it as a 3.3 on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very effective. The majority, 70%, use the activity guide for information and would prefer to continue to have that and get their information through email. The good news, in talking to the county staff, they do plan to continue using the activity guide. Importance of quality of life, again, on a scale of 1 to 5, respondents rated agriculture and land preservation very high, a score of 4.3. Trail-based recreation, wildlife, nature recreation, and water-based recreation are of high importance. For parks, recreation, and trails, invite respondents place the highest importance on maintaining current amenities, followed by new trails and recreational opportunities. So similar to the focus groups and stakeholder meetings and to the overall master plan, we looked at age and gender. You can see here that there was a very nice disbursement of the ages of people taking the survey. We had people under 35 were represented, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, age group, the 55 to 64, 65 to 74, and even the 75 and older. So all the age groups were nicely represented. We also had a good representation from both males and females, and people that preferred not to answer as well.
Tom, do you want to explain the overall versus
the overall is the combination of the invitation survey and the open link survey, and the N, wherever you see the N, that's the number of respondents for that question in total.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And again, the invitation survey is what is considered to be statistically valid because it's randomly selected people. The open link is not statistically valid, but we do look at both. Length of time in Calvert County. Again, the majority of people have lived there more than 20 years. You can see the invitation and the open link are very similar. Did have people that lived there between 11 and 20 years, 6 and 10. And what was nice is we did have some people that have lived there less than 5 years. So we know we have the history and some new ideas. Regarding satisfaction with Parks and Recreation, overall respondents are fairly satisfied with the availability of recreational opportunities within the county. Over half, 52%, rated a 4 or a 5. The average rating was 3.6. with the invitation sample rating, recreational opportunities slightly higher than the open link sample. So I think that could be the perspective of people that are using the facilities and having something to say, with the open link being just maybe a little bit more critical. We asked about participation in recreational activities services. The highest participation in activities included the more passive recreation activities such as walking, spending time in nature, and beach going. Some of the lowest participation included horseback riding, hunting, and skateboarding. As you can see here, we're comparing the overall and then the invite and the open link. This is the second set of responses. These were things that had less participation and what people had participated in during the last 12 months. And you can see, again, COVID has probably had an effect on some of the things that have happened, but you can see there's a pretty even comparison between the open link and the invite for some of the items at the top. Some of the items in the middle, it's slightly different. The most important area to increase in participation, according to residents, having additional facilities and amenities and improved communication will help to increase their participation. Open link respondents are more interested in additional facilities and programs than the invitation respondents. More invitation respondents said that better accessibility would increase their participation. And below you can see what were the most important areas that, if addressed, would increase people's participation. Overall, over 50% indicated additional facilities and amenities would increase participation. Improved communication was at 38% overall. And the additional programs and services, the open link, rated that fairly high at 44%. We also asked about importance of quality of life. So here you're going to see it, the information displayed slightly differently. To the right, you'll see the blue. Blue is very important. The light blue is important. The gray is in the middle. The pink is maybe not important. And the darker pink or the red is not at all important. So this is only the invitation survey, and we asked them to rate the importance of each of the following: park, recreation, and open space statements, and agriculture and land preservation statements in terms of how they impact the quality of life. So you can see that the maintenance was very high at 81%, new opportunities for connectivity, walking, hiking, running, bicycling, and then creating new parks and open spaces were all above 70%. So those are three of the things that we'll be taking a look at to address. Here you can see the open link. These are people that, went and chose to take the survey. They had something wanted to say, and you can see that recreational programs for youth slid into that top above 70%, as did playgrounds, athletic fields, and other recreational amenities for youth. So there you can kind of see a theme from the open link people, the importance of programs for youth and playgrounds and athletic fields, as well as they still think the maintenance of facilities is important and creating new parks and open spaces is important. We asked about the importance of agricultural and land preservation, and you can see all of the things that were mentioned here rated above 70% when you combine the very important and important, the 4s and the 5s, protecting the environment and sensitive areas, preservation, protection, and conservation of natural resources, preservation of the county's historic and archaeological resources, supporting farmers' use of their land, and permanently preserving agricultural land. They were all rated quite high. We asked people to tell us about the top 2 most important needs for outdoor recreation. And you can see here, we have the overall, the invite, and the open link. The trail-based recreation, hiking, biking, running, connectivity rated at 46% in the open link and 49 overall. Park outdoor activities, playgrounds, picnicking, athletic team sports, 53% in the open link and 42% overall. And then water recreation. So as we continue to look at all of these things that continue to rise to the top on different questions help to inform our recommendations. We asked about the effectiveness of communication, and similar to most communities that we've worked in, the communication scored an average of 3.3. What was positive is 40 to 41% scored it as a 3. And then, 27 to 29% had it as a 4, and 14 or 15% had it as a 5. So overall, it's good, but there is room for improvement. On our next slide, we asked some specific questions. We asked what were people's preferred method of being communicated, and they indicated the activity guide and email were preferred methods, followed by social media. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the county plans to continue with the activity guide. So that's a good thing. They are connecting with the community with what their needs are. So the overall survey themes, things that repeatedly rose to the top and that we heard and we discussed: adding trail-based recreation opportunities, connectivity that is, improving nature and wildlife recreation, adding more connectivity throughout the county, improve communication efforts and information dissemination about program offerings, considering adding more artificial turf fields, adding more water-based recreation, better maintenance of existing parks and recreation facilities, and then more or new recreation amenities, playgrounds, sports courts, etc., in existing parks. Those were the overall survey themes.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dave Peterson to talk about access to parks and recreational opportunities.
So obviously in those slides, we heard a lot about what people want. We also wanted to find out kind of where things were in the county. And so where people might go find trails, where they might go find tennis courts or athletic fields, all those types of things. So we began with some GIS mapping. This is an example of that GIS mapping where we've located kind of all of those parks and facilities that have those types of amenities. And you can see them kind of spread out around the county. We also updated the inventory. So there was this huge, extensive Excel spreadsheet that lists every kind of public accessible property in the county, and then the number of acres that are included and the number of different amenities that are included at those sites, whether it be, again, athletic fields or water access, picnicking, kind of those types of things. This was all updated with the help of the county. Next slide, please. One of the things we were really interested in was, how are people accessing these types of facilities? And so we ran a number of different estimated drive times to different facilities. This is an example of drive times to just any parks and rec facility in the county. And you can see the different color shadings represent the amount of time it might take you to get to a park and rec facility in the county. So we looked at 0 to 5 minutes, which is kind of the lighter pale yellow color. The kind of brown color is 5 to 15 minute drive. And the gray color is those people that probably have to go further than 15 minutes to get to facility. And I can say, as we were driving around the county, this really became obvious that you could be a half mile from a water access, but it may take you 15 minutes to actually get over to that boat ramp, if you will. So we thought the drive times were really important. And this is an example. Next slide. We ran a number of different facilities, access times. We looked at athletic fields, we looked at sports courts, we looked at drive time to trails, drive time to water access, picnic areas, indoor facilities, and historical and cultural. All of this will be included in the report. We didn't want to take up a whole lot of your time by diving into each of these specifically, but just know that we ran all of these different analyses, if you will, to look at how people may access these types of activities or assets within the county. This next slide kind of summarizes all of that. And I think one of the positive things was that we found that over 80% of residents are within a 15-minute drive of all of these different activities. As we get down to a 5-minute drive time, we see that trails and historical and cultural have the least access within that close proximity. So on the left hand, we see the 0 to 100. That's the percent of the population. The blue line is the 5-minute drive time. The orange line is the 15-minute drive time. And so again, the greater the percentage of the population, the longer the line, or the taller the line is in this case. So again, and we kind of heard this in the survey, but increasing access to trails may be one of the most important things that come out of this.
Thanks, Dave. We also take a look at overall perspective of indoor facilities, and with the realization and understanding that we know that many of the indoor facilities are shared with supporting organizations and departments such as the county school system. We also know that the existing facilities are really utilized to their maximum capacity and have some ample parking spaces. However, the use is very strong at those facilities, and that more indoor facilities are in the capital improvement plan, one being the Harriet Brown Community Center. So keeping that in mind, the indoor facilities are changing slowly. So throughout the overall process with the community engagement, focus group, stakeholders, staff input, as well as the survey, we begin to put together the reoccurring themes of what we heard throughout. And this list here is a pretty thorough list that explains those. Accessibility to parks and facilities through improved connectivity, as Dave had just mentioned, with trails, greenways, and multi-use paths. Adding additional turf fields. We know that there's one field currently under construction. So some consideration from what we heard for the addition of more of those. Individuals want to feel safe in parks, trails, and facilities. So keeping in mind that aging infrastructure, renovate and improve existing facilities and parks and address any deferred maintenance programs. Improving the communication and outreach. We've heard that numerous times throughout all processes. Increasing natural open space and green space areas, additional passive and informal programming opportunities. Address the need for facilities in underserved areas of the county. Consideration for the new recreation center, and to go ahead and move forward and complete park development projects in timely manners. So those were those reoccurring themes. We want to bring you up to speed as similar to what we saw in the beginning. This is a little bit different layout of the process, and this is the timeline that we are focusing on now. So we began in August of 2021 with a strategic kickoff, followed by the existing conditions, community meetings, and survey launch from October to January. Just a quick explanation. The survey, basically, we launched it in November and we closed it right at the end of the year. So in order to compile all of the report and information and data, it continued through this month. Resource inventory, site assessments, and mapping, such as what Dave's done, was developed during October to December 2021. Findings and visioning, January 2022, which is today, where we are now. Financial analysis and action plan recommendations this month, also January, and then the draft plan which actually tomorrow's first day of February. So we'll have this to the state shortly in the next few weeks to let them have their review of the overall LPPRP, and then we'll come back to make any additions and revisions, and the final plan presentation with the deliverables will be given in June of this year. So as we close tonight, I just want to say thank you from all of our team, basically starting with Shannon and her, the staff there in the county and the various departments that are certainly integral and important to this process, such as the planning department. And then this is our contact information. If there are any further questions or anyone would like more information, and we always encourage those who are joining us tonight from the general public and aren't necessarily staff to please stay engaged in the process. It's an important piece. We want to make sure that you are aware of what's going on, and the county does as well. So at this point, I will open it up for any questions in the chat. I don't know if there's anything, Tom, that you've seen. You're muted, Tom.
Up to this point, there had not been any questions. There was just one clarification from Shannon regarding the turf. I believe what she was indicating is the turf field is in planning, but not yet under construction.
Right, gotcha. Thanks, Shannon.
And then there's a comment from a resident. Thank you, very good presentation.
Great. Any staff have any comments or recommendations or anything they want to share or say?
I just say really quick, thank you everybody for participating in this process. And thank you to everybody on the consulting team for working through this project and working with our timeline to get it to the state. Since we are, on a crunch for that, that's much appreciated. And anyone that might be watching this recording on our website or on our social media after it has concluded, please feel free to reach out to my email that's on the screen if you have any other questions or comments regarding this process.
Great, thank you, Shannon. Okay, well, if there are no other questions or comments, we'll make this presentation available to the county, the recorded presentation, and they will post it on the appropriate locations and websites moving forward. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Be safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Who's going to leave next? Rachel got out.
You, Greg.
Still being recorded.
I need to stay, get all the gossip. I want to hear you all talk about me. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.